What's going on? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today I want to talk about the importance of discipline. I want to talk about the things that you need to do to be successful. Discipline is a critical component of being long-term successful. We'll talk about how when I first got started, I didn't have the level of discipline that I currently have. It wasn't part of the deal. And this is one of the things that was missing when I got started. I was in the military. Hold on. And I would, what's up, Adam? I would try all of these things to make money. And I was kind of disciplined to be in the military. I had a certain situation that was going on, but I didn't have business specific discipline. I didn't have any of that. And that's why all of those things failed, because I would, like, give you an example, like with the catalog. I would some days present it, some days I wouldn't present it. Like, let's just go ahead and talk about the core of a sales process. Like my sales process here on YouTube, it's very consistent. And it's what in, God, what's the name of this book? The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. He calls it pig-headed determination. And this is where you do and practice certain things even when you don't feel like it. And this is one of the things, like going back to the video I did last night talking about the lower class and me messing around with the sugar babies. This is the lack of discipline is epidemic with this category. They cannot stay on plan for nothing. They can't stay consistent for nothing. Hence the reason that their lives are dumpster fires. So I was out here trying all this stuff, but let me give you a really good example of what discipline produces and what you have to do. It was, I got the email from eBay where they were terminating their accounts, froze PayPal money. So at this point, we had obligations. So literally the next day, I got up and I began working on Craigslist. And I every day I went to the warehouse, I sat at my desk, I pulled out my computer, and every day I wrote ads. I don't care if it was raining. The warehouse didn't have heat or air conditioning. And this happened in the dead of winter, so it was cold up in there, and I had like a little space heater there. But every day for 4 to 6 hours, I would write Craigslist ads. This went on for months. And what I learned, because, it takes discipline to get your numbers, whatever your numbers may be. Because, like, I was writing these ads, and some of them were successful. In the beginning, many were not successful because I had to learn. Because discipline drove me to improve my process. And I kept it up. And the first week was hard. The second week was hard. The third week was hard. The fourth week, I started to get breakthroughs. I was like, well, if you lead off with this, and this is where I developed because you can't use it now because Craigslist has become like a Nazi, but you used to be able to go to photobucket.com, and Photobucket had a tracking mechanism that you had to pay for. So I went ahead and paid for it. And this was able, because I could tell based upon how much traffic I was getting, and if they weren't buying, I knew there was something wrong with the ad. So I was able to get this feedback. In the 4th week, I started to have breakthroughs. I remember I sold like 12 washer and dryer sets from this one ad, and I consistently reused that ad and got similar results. Then I started selling bedroom sets. Then I started selling new furniture. The new furniture was a game changer, and I'm gonna tell you why. And this all came because I consistently sat down and did those ads day in, 7 days a week. I wrote Craigslist ads, and I didn't understand what I was doing. I was building habits. I got in the habit of writing Craigslist ads. So we were in a situation where we had a lot of money that we had to pay out. I had units I had to pick up, but I didn't have the money to rent the truck. So I had to, this was, the situation of discipline. This created a situation where, because like I said, the new furniture was a game changer because I was able to sell new furniture before I had to pick it up, because there was these Havana. Let me see if I can show it to you. Let's put this over there. I'm going to show you. Mother is the necessity of many things. I had to get some money. So Havana Club chairs. Let's see if they still, they kind of, all right. It's kind of, let's see. I don't want all these notifications. I just want a picture, open image, and new tab. All right. So this is the chair. Similar to it, this was the Havana Club chair. And I could get these I can get 2 of them because I sold them in pairs of 2. And they cost me $700, and I was able to sell them for $1,500, including delivery in the Atlanta market. And I sold probably 2,000 sets of these chairs. So what I did, because I had people either pay me cash when I showed up, or they could pay with credit card over the phone, and most folks opted to pay with credit card. So this greatly and drastically improved our cash flow. And this is something that came out of discipline. Doing those Craigslist ads every day, figuring out what worked, what didn't work, just every day. And there was days I did not feel like it, but we needed money. And this is why I don't understand these people who need money who are unwilling to work on the weekends. I just don't get that. That's the craziest thing to me. But, I'm going to kind of jump ahead. Writing those Craigslist ads consistently for years gave me the habit of writing, where I was able to write my first books. Because I was in the habit of writing. I remember when we shut everything down, and I felt a little odd because I was like, I should be doing something, because writing daily was a habit. And this is one of the things that you should use discipline to jumpstart. I want you to understand habit is much stronger than discipline. So you use what discipline you have to create new habits. And once you create a habit, it's much easier to maintain, it's much easier to keep going. One of the things that I learned from this process was the value of hard work, the value of showing up every day. Because for weeks, I just went to work. And that's what I'm doing right now. The day is a planning day. But if you put your head down and do not look for immediate gratification, and you start thinking in terms of months and years versus days and weeks, success is going to come your way. You're going to see success, you're going to develop success, you're going to this funny short change that you would bring up that. Because I have been on my grind, there has not been a lot of time for Big Booty Betty. Big Booty Betty has gotten kicked to the curb. Because right now I'm on a mission. I'm grinding. I'm doing stuff. I'm building stuff. I'm creating stuff. And the discipline to stay on point, the discipline to be consistent is so important. And immediate gratification is one of the biggest problems that people have. We live in such a microwave society where people are looking for fast and quick and easy. And let's not underestimate easy, because people are looking for stuff that doesn't really press on them. Adam, I'm dealing with discipline right now, trying to keep pushing myself. I have YouTube videos I have to make and emails I have to send right now. Honestly, I don't feel like it, but I have to do it. That comes into that situation where, because our backs were literally against the wall because the PayPal froze a lot of money, $32,000. And we needed that money to pay obligations and stuff. So I was in the position where I had to produce. And that sense of urgency also helped. But during the process, there was I remember it was the Sunday where I just did not want to go into the warehouse. It was cold. There was ice on the ground. And I went in there, got my computer, wrote some ads. And since I was in the warehouse, I put in there, you can pick up today. And the new furniture, I actually did $10,000 that Sunday. I remember it because I almost didn't go in. I was tired. My joints hurt from moving stuff out of units. I was all achy. I was coming down with a cold. And I was like, just show up once again. Just keep showing up. And I showed up. And that Sunday, because what you're going to find out when you deploy discipline to get your numbers is the law of averages is going to work in your favor. The law of averages are going to start happening, because this is why a lot of people hate sales. They don't have the discipline to get to their numbers. Because when I was at Rent-A-Crate, they broke it down to me because they had a little system. If a salesperson makes 250 phone calls per week, which is 1,000 phone calls per month, they were going to meet their numbers. And, when I got there, I started to see that was true. I saw the power of that system. I saw, because once again, it was the best job I had at the time. I stuck with it. I kept going, and I started to buy products to help me with my job, which tremendously helped me. So I have all these experiences where I can go back and look back at the power of discipline. And I'm here to tell you, if you guys stick with it, like Adam, right now there is a point, let's see. Most people don't know how to work. Malachi Stafford, the best things coming from the hardest trials is I'm learning how to manage my money and not spend the hell out of it. Pumping numbers. What I think is tripping people up is they think entrepreneurship is the only way to acquire wealth. As a result, they get depressed and give up because there's no aptitude for that. I think they give up because of a lack of education. They don't know what they don't know. And there's this meme of someone who's digging for diamonds and they give up and they were just like literally that close to it. And that's the thing that happens in the human condition. Because once again, because I stuck with it. I worked Craigslist because, it was a good source of revenue. And when I started selling the new furniture, our cash flow position shifted drastically. I mean, it was like someone turned on a switch. One day we had no money. The next day we had money. And a lot of it, because I was having $2,000 to $5,000 sales days of new furniture on Craigslist. And I discovered this because I was writing these marketing emails and I stuck with it and I learned and I got feedback and I was researching and I just stuck with it for months. And also, I knew from that experience when I converted the Craigslist marketing system to the Craigslist protocol system, if I just stick with it. And I stuck with it. And I got so much benefit out of it, it was ridiculous. Because I had to go in and make some tweaks, and sticking with that protocol and sticking with the process, because this is one of the reasons that I love Nick Saban. And if you don't know, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick used to coach together up in Cleveland. The most successful college coach and the most successful NFL coach used to work together. It's very interesting. And one of the things that they have that they both say is do your job. Don't try to do his job. Don't try to do his job. Do your job to the best of your ability. And when you take that mindset on and you start to work, I mean, really, really work, really put in effort and do your job to the best of your ability, because my partner and I, we had a breakdown to duties. My duties was marketing and product acquisition. So I actually started to do my job at a very high level once I started selling the new furniture, once I started writing, like literally, I was writing hundreds of ads per week. But the thing is, I wasn't just writing and writing. I was writing and I was getting feedback. And because going back to how most people don't know how to work. When you become self-employed, you have to work. It's like you have a job, and there are many of you in this situation where you can go to your job and you can sit at your desk and literally do nothing and get paid. It does not work that way when you have your own business. It is not like that when you have your own business. And because essentially you got to push to make your business go. You've got to push to get your business jumping. And one of the things I learned from writing all those ads was the power of habit. Because once again, for the Craigslist protocols, there was days that I did not feel like doing my ad sets. And also it would show up. Like the days that I would not do my ad set, literally 3-4 days, my leads would decrease and my opportunities for some poontang would decrease. Instead of, there would be weeks I would have 20 opportunities. And then when I would slack off in the numbers, then my opportunities would dissipate. Well, let's talk about one of the ways that, take yesterday's video. Be sure to go back and check that out. You're not going to become rich working a job. This is one of the things, like this whole notion of, one of the things you got to understand about becoming wealthy is the process of becoming wealthy. You've got to be able to duplicate yourself and get your money to start working for you. That ain't going to happen with a job. Cosmic wisdom. The IT field is very similar to running the business. You can work from home, but if you don't deliver, you won't be around long. Hey, one of the things is rituals become habits. That's a very good point, because I remember one night, because this was like 2011, and I was sitting down and I was almost getting ready to blow off my ad sets, because essentially this is what I do every day, because and the hours, because once again this came back from writing ads and getting feedback. I realized that the best hours to post my ads were between 4 and 9:30. 4 p.m. and 9:30 was the optimum time for me to post the ads. If I posted outside those parameters, if I posted in the morning, I would get drastically reduced results. Drastically reduced. And if I posted after 9:30, I would get some crazy responses. And what I've learned was that these were the chicks who were like at home, lonely and horny. They would go to Craigslist and they would look at something, and they would not stick around. They were very flaky. But my optimum leads came between 4:30 and 9:30 p.m. And it remained like that for years. So discipline is what keeps you on point. Discipline is what keeps you doing what you need to do. Because once again, discipline is so important to success. Like, with the sugar babies, 99% of them don't have any discipline. And essentially, they just want someone to come in with some money, i.e. that they are very attracted to. Essentially, they want a boyfriend that will just pay their bills. That's what they want. And they're so delusional because they don't understand. Because part of the reason that so many of them have these bad dumpster fires of lives is they have no discipline. None. And they also have low impulse control. So pair lack of discipline with low impulse control, and you get a monster. I really don't have to get that. I didn't have to get that many Christmas presents this year. It was a new situation. I rather enjoyed that because, yeah, no Christmas gifts this year. First time in a while. Um, Discipline is a habit. Discipline is like a muscle that you build because when you start to press upon that muscle and push upon it, it gets stronger. You can do more with it. Lee Dye, any hope for people with ADHD? This is my thought on people with ADHD. They weren't spanked enough. I mean, I went to school with these so-called people who got some old school discipline. Their parents didn't put up with that foolishness and they turned out to be productive, better people. Because I've seen people with ADHD, if it ain't fun, they can't focus on it. That's a personal problem. What's up, Cakeology? Thanks for the $10 super chat. Love the channel. I'm a business and personal credit coach, full-time YouTuber. Would love to correct. Erica Williams, no gifts for the older daughter? Nope. She's a Jehovah Witness. They don't celebrate Christmas. Oh, low impulse control is a big issue for a lot of people. I mean, once again, low impulse control is a big issue with many people. Going back to what I was talking about, Erica Williams, build your attention span. I was labeled ADHD, forcing me to do piano lessons and read often. Erica Williams, I had people who, once again, this is what their parents did. They forced them to focus on some stuff, and that ADHD stuff went out the window. Build your attention span. I was labeled ADHD, family forced me to do piano lessons and read often. She came out of it. I think it's better of controlling dopamine levels, which are connected to instant gratification, my problem for years. Kegology, just send me an email. It's on the channel. Glendon, that's so mean you can't spank away every problem. Goddess Noel, I had a friend. His name was Percy. Percy got left back not once but twice. And when he saw that all his friends, because we were leaving elementary school, going to middle school, and he was left back, he got a case of act right. This whole thing is, there are some people who have clinical problems. Their brains just don't work correctly. That ain't most of these folks with ADHD. A lot of those folks just need some tough love and they need to be forced to focus. Because Percy's an attorney to this day. He graduated high school, he went to college, he did well in college, he went to law school. And this was so-called troubled kid. Erica Williams, holidays are a scam. Calm down. Holidays are a scam, save your money. Eric Williams, also my family wouldn't let me have soda and sign me to soccer classes, also running out that energy. Once again, many people with the so-called ADHD, these kids can play video games. If you ever notice that someone that has so-called ADHD, they can play video games, they can do fun stuff. But when it comes to doing something that they're not interested in, there's this ADHD stuff this is where it comes in. Cali, y'all, we got these folks who hate Christmas. But all these kids on Ritalin today is social induced stuff. Like if a kid can't sit down in class, let's put him on Ritalin. If a kid can't do this, let's put him on Ritalin. You know what most kids need to help them with these issues is to spend time with their parents. When I was growing up, everybody spent time with their parents. Sunday, get in the car, go for a Sunday ride. Talk to mom and dad. Everybody spent time with their parents. And these incidents of ADH and all these other things didn't really happen. Because when you spend time with your children, they're very easy to manage because trust is built. All you need is attention. My father had me work all that energy off, still working like that now. Euro Macintosh. My father gave us barbering choirs, okay. Oh, some people are going to blow more of that. Amanda P, Instagram and constant flipping of YouTube entertainment doesn't help yet. Is the goal worth the focus? Absolutely. Yeah, latchkey syndrome has a lot to do with this stuff because essentially, people are having kids and then they're parking them off on the shelf somewhere. But focus, once you get with the power of focus, once you start to sit down and focus on what you want, like this is where we're going to get into the esoteric and the transmutation. Part of what I've learned from The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, this book by Dr. Joseph E. Murray, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, Dr. Joseph E. Murray, is I have all of these sheets. Like, here's one that's done. Like, so I would sit down and write out 6 things I want to accomplish for the day. And then I will work on each one until they're done. Until they're done. And then I will move on. And with that kind of focus, you start getting stuff done. But to focus on these things, you got to know what you want. You got to know what your end goal is. Adam, do you have any specific things to do to push yourself? I just get up and start working. Turf, I'm with you that I believe the overdiagnosis of these so-called behavior disorders is due to the profitability of prescription drugs. And this is one of the reasons that we have an opioid epidemic, because they're just like, people are going to the doctor, here are these opioids. Cosmic wisdom, most people don't have a future vision. And that's one of the things. Like, what did I tell you guys a few months ago? I was going to build out another platform like I did Hustlers Kung Fu Life Skills, because I knew where I wanted to go. And here we have bschoolforhustlers.com. You must know where you want to go. And this, and also we will go back to, Disruptive Male, the Dream Girl profile. I've had so many dudes who's like, when they sat down and they wrote this up, their dating life got better because they were able to focus in on what they wanted. The power of focus is incredible. And once again, you have these folks, these with no discipline, low impulse control. Also female teachers and no recess for kids, so boys and girls are fidgeting. This is something else. Growing up through high school, I had a lot of male teachers. And I mean, people did not cut up in the male teacher classes the way that they cut up in the female teacher classes. That's the point. I've had male teachers in elementary school, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Hawkins, Coach Phillips, Mr. Phillips. I've had several male teachers, and this is something that kids are not getting today. But going back to cosmic wisdom, Most people are afraid to dream. I remember, because this is one of the things I used to do, and I still do it. I used to go to the nice neighborhoods and just drive around. It's like, I'm going to live here one day. And a lot of people are afraid to do that because if it doesn't happen, they are so butthurt. Short change is like, I'm keeping all my money. Beware broke friends and family. Ask for loans. Tell them no. God is no. Oh, okay. Glenn and I had middle school teachers that were hurl miscellaneous objects if you fell asleep in class. It was a different world back then. It was a more productive world. Well, this is one of the things that they've discovered in China, that kids who go out and have recess perform better. See, once again, in America, because I think one of the issues with the education system is every board of education can do what they want, and there's no standardized way of teaching like it used to be. It's just not. But one of the things that you got to understand is, as an entrepreneur, as a person who's trying to start a side hustle, as a person who's trying to build something up, discipline is very, very important, because discipline is the key to developing habits. Oh, definitely. Paul Brown, the testosterone level of the male 30 years ago was much higher than it is today. So this is environmental concerns. This is the food that we eat. Like, eating foods with a lot of soy will reduce your testosterone level. So we've got a lot of stuff. Essentially, we have a lot of men who are literally, from a hormonal profile level, turning into women. And that creates a whole set of nasty issues in men. Lack of focus, can't think, low sex drive, erectile dysfunction. It creates a I mean, you're starting to see young males 21 to 25 with ED. That didn't happen when I was younger. That just didn't happen. I mean, soy, there's other stuff, like drinking water out of these plastic bottles that have BHP in them that will mess up your hormone levels. There's just so many things. But I'm getting off track. Discipline, once again, is the key to developing habits, because discipline is only going to carry you so far. Discipline is like the gateway to getting that higher level of performance. Because I remember sitting in that warehouse on my computer, whether I felt like it or not. And this is key. Doing things whether you feel like it or not is what will propel you into a better lifestyle. And this is where a lot of people get hung up. If I ain't happy, if I'm not entertained, if I'm not excited, I can't do it. BS. I call BS on that. You can do it, you just don't want to do it. And this is one of the reasons, because someone left a comment that if everybody started getting money, see, there's this misconception that many people think that there's a limited supply of money, that only so many people can be rich, and that all the rich people are conspiring to keep you poor. The rich people are having too much fun to sit around in the room and like, well, we're going to keep the masses poor. It is a lack of education, it is tribalism, and it is the poverty cycle. Only 4% of the people born in poverty escape it. And right now, with the gig economy, with all of these low-wage jobs, with all of these people who are living these substandard lives, we're creating generational poor people. Typically, whatever social economic class that you're born into, you will die in the same class. What's up, Jacob? I want you to think about that. Whatever social economic class that you're born into, you will die in that social economic class. Turf, I haven't had a day off in 10 days, so although I'm running on fumes, I've become accustomed to persevering. Thank you, Ricardo. Because once again, one of the things I see consistency with the lower class is the lack of discipline. Like these dudes who are getting 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 women pregnant, got kids by 4, 5, 6, 7, and keep doing it. You don't see that at the rich folk. You don't see that behavior. You don't see this behavior of a woman having 4 and 5 kids by 4. You just don't see this behavior in the higher economic classes. Because once again, lack of discipline is one of the reasons that so many people remain poor. That is a huge, huge problem. That's the biggest reason that so many people are still poor. There is no conspiracy to keep you poor. It is tribalisms, because when people adopt the ghetto culture, because like there's channels. I mean, I was listening to this video, and this one dude who was so steeped in hood culture, which is his right, but the lack of understanding that when you embrace hood culture, you rebuke things that can make you successful. You get rid of things that can make you successful. Leah Dow, my biggest fear is not progressing. I've seen so many adults from my hood stay the same their whole life. This is what I'm talking about, Leah. That people are born, live, and die in the same social economic class. You have to go to the dragon's lair to get the gold. How many times have I talked about killing dragons? How many times have I brought that up? You must slay dragons. Quote, the man is holding you back. This is popular hood culture, poor people thought processes. The world's combined money and assets is measured in quadrillions. The money out there for everyone. Thanks for the $3 super chat for Liz. Once again, there's enough resources out there if people would do the work. But if you look at the habits of poor people, and you look at the habits, and this is something I got from Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale, go ahead and get Earl Nightingale Lead the Field. Go ahead and get Earl Nightingale's Lead the Field, wherever you can get your hands on it. And he was talking about neighborhoods. And he said the upper class neighborhoods, the lawns were manicured, the neighborhoods well, and there was no trash on the ground. Yet in these poor communities where these people were always home, there was trash everywhere. Now, I will say, when I was growing up, we were a poor neighborhood, but people took pride in their own, people cut their grass and stuff. But this is what got me, because when I lived in the West End, I saw that these people were at home, but there was trash everywhere. There were lots that were overgrown with weeds. Like the dude who owned the lot, he just like, I ain't gonna cut the grass. I don't care. And you see the habits of poor people. And when you look at the habits of the middle class to rich people, they're very, very different. Cali, yeah, I've been sick of these conspiracy theorists. All right, Jacob. Truth is, most are okay with mediocre work, easy job, club on the weekends, and smoke weed every day. There are some people who live like that. I agree 100%, Rod, for real estate. And consistency, because once again, check out the video I did yesterday. No one in this neighborhood has grass that's overgrown or bushes. Everybody has a landscaper. You just don't see that around here because people have pride and ownership. Whereas when I was in the West End, I didn't see this. I did not see the behavior, because for living in the West End, I used to see trash on the ground. I would literally see people walking around and throw stuff on the ground. Wouldn't put it in the trash can. Romel, Brian Aaron said, there's plenty of money for funding. You need to know how to access it. One of the things that many people just don't seem to understand is success is a process. And this is why I have the viewpoints that I have. This is why I don't, someone, poor folks believe they can have a bunch of kids and expect everyone else to pay for their welfare. This is true. I remember there was this one woman, and she's like, I got 5 kids and somebody needs to pay for these kids. She said, somebody, not her, but somebody. You know what class and neighborhood you're in when people don't clean up after their dogs. Grant, that is a problem. These people around here go nuts when you don't curb your dog. I remember like nextdoor.com. This lady had posted this thing, and she had taken pictures of people letting dogs go to the bathroom in her yard. And she was like, you need to curb your dogs. And she put them all on blast. That's a big no-no around here. Not curbing after your dogs. So absolutely, Grant. Turf, I don't smoke marijuana either. Chris Monroe, discipline is one of the most difficult things to manage. Discipline is something you need to practice every day. Like game. If you practice game every day, your game will be top shelf and it'll be good. But if you don't practice it, your game will go to crap. Curb your dogs is cleaning up after they go to the bathroom. You walk around with a little plastic bag. But one of the biggest things that, like, I don't subscribe, like someone left a comment, feels that I'm talking about Boyce Watkins. I'm not talking about Boyce. I'm talking about anyone that interjects race as a prohibiting factor in your success. Well, you can't succeed because you're black and these white folks are doing this. Once again, that's an uneducated person. Most of the poor people in the United States of America are white. The majority of poor people on food stamps are white. The majority of people on public assistance are white. But there was this group of Orthodox Jews up in the New England area that got busted for running this welfare fraud scam. And this is why I don't go toward the hoteps, This is like, I don't go toward this whole black and white thing because I have personal experience that it ain't true. When I first moved in my subdivision, I had an intervention with this elderly neighbor regarding his German Shepherd. I'm serious. I remember my last place, someone put up a camera in the dog park area and took pictures of folks who did not clean up after their dogs and posted it on all over the neighborhood. Shame is a powerful thing. Paul Brown had a house in the hood. My neighbor, who was a cousin of mine, would let the dog come to my yard and take a dump. That's an issue around, well, it isn't an issue around here. Whenever someone doesn't respect someone else's property with their pet, people go bananas. People go ballistic. So one of the things that you got to look at is, if you are poor, you got to look at your discipline level and you got to look at your habits. And like, if you got a habit, as like Jacob mentioned earlier, when you get paid and you go blow all your money, literally hours. I want you to think about this. It took you 40 to 80 hours to make what you made, and you literally blew it in hours. That's a fundamental lack of respect for money. That's an issue. That's a problem right there. And many people are in that situation. But if you are poor, increase your discipline level, increase the lack of your delayed gratification system. Because let's go ahead and talk about me. B School for Hustlers. It's really going to start taking off because I've been through this process before with Hustlers Kung Fu life skills. In the beginning, actually sales are better for this than it was for Hustlers Kung Fu life skills because I've been through it before. But once I start putting more stuff in there, sales are going to be daily. It's going to take off. I know this is coming. However, I got to do the work today to get to that. And this is what trips up people because they're expecting immediate gratification. Well, I moved this rock over here, pay me my dollar right now. And once again, we got so many people who have to get paid daily. Like McDonald's has daily pay. Because these folks, literally, as someone said in the live stream, they had to pay his people because if he didn't pay them, they wouldn't have gas money to get to work the next day. Man, that's a whole other topic. You're on his own lack of respect of money. There's so many people who disrespect money. Sierra Holly, there is a big problem in San Francisco with people literally taking squats in the street in certain areas. It is, go to Google San Francisco human waste problem, and you will see that these folks, once again, they have no shame. One dude took a dump in the grocery store. Now, this is what's so funny. The grocery store had bathrooms, and he took a dump in the aisle versus going to the bathroom. Here is the behavior of the lower social classes. Matter of fact, I'm going to show y'all that because it just blew my mind. Man caught pooping in the aisle of San Francisco Safeway. And the grocery store had bathrooms. See, this is
because the holidays are better.
I mean, this man uses Safeway aisle as restroom. Human waste problem reaches new heights. They're literally having to pressure wash the streets in San Francisco because people are taking dumps in the middle of the street. Dude took a dump in the aisle of a grocery store that had bathrooms. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that. This is the behavior of the lower classes. And if you say anything, now he had no condition, he just didn't care. See, one of the things that I learned when I was homeless was that people adapt certain behaviors that make sense to other homeless people, but they don't make sense to someone who's still in the system. And I never ever let myself get to the point where I thought it was cool to take a dump. I mean, when you're homeless, you will see all kinds of crazy stuff. And these people have been torn from the fabric of normal society. Turf, the frivolous and reckless spending of money is a crime against humanity. Thomas Dickerson, big problems with people putting off paying bills to the end. You know you got rent. You know it comes every month at the same time. But once again, look at the behavior of the lower social economic class. Like this guy who just took a dump in the aisle of a Safeway restaurant. I guarantee you, he probably walked past the bathroom. He didn't care. And I get people who's like, well, man, you putting down poor people. I'm not putting down poor people. I'm putting down the behavior. Turf, I mean, it is. Leah, I've been struggling with discipline, and I hate when people say I work too hard, but there's a limit to working hard. There's a strategic way to work. If you're working hard and not getting results, look at your strategy. My friend who's wealthy said, don't dump your girlfriends, keep them. Not everyone's going to be rich. Everyone's not going to be a millionaire, but everyone can make way more money than they do. Winston, half of the homeless people in America are in California. Half. San Francisco is another level of stupid rich. Homeless people will cuss you out if you give them $1, ask for $10. Hey, they're feeling entitled. Uncle G, things are definitely changing because many of the other drivers at my job are presently jumping ship. They're doing it all because the company now chose to pay us bi-weekly. That's an issue. I found that out with my own employees. People will flip out on getting paid like I got paid for years. Robbie, I just came in, man. BP, the book, The Tipping Point, is a good read regarding behaviors of a people. God is no. I know, right? You get all this money in San Francisco, and literally you have people taking dumps in the street. So San Francisco. Uh, the Glen 5. This is another poor person habit. I've actually seen someone eating stuff out of a store, and she had on thermal underwear and some Jordans. We already have true class separation. We already have it. FF. San Diego bad too. A lot of people are working, pushed to sleep in the car. Some people out here struggling, still fighting, respecting those not shitting, disturbing, just getting ahead. Fajita, what about mentally people who are incapable to hold a job? It is estimated that 10% of the population is in that situation, and there are programs for those people. But you got a lot of folks out here. Because once you start to look at the behavior of the class and you start to dive into the data, you begin to see why they're living lives the way they're living. Like, once again, like using me. I already know that bschoolforhustlers.com is going to make a lot of money. But there's a strategy and there's a process and there's work that must go into building it and marketing it, and to use Chet Holmes' pig-headed determination, where I have to consistently mention it, market it. I got to do this for months. But this is the reality to making money. And a lot of people think money is just like snap your fingers and there's money there. And it doesn't work that way. Paul Brown, first saw Skid Row 30 years ago when visiting California. People act like it's been a problem. Half of the homeless population in the United States reside in California. Walter White, mediocrity not only keeps you poor economically, but it keeps you poor mentally. Once you're going down that path, it's very hard to get out. You don't know what you don't know. Very true. Robbie Rob, that's already happened. That's why we have Trump. White people panic like a mofo. Black Caesar, since I opted to use the 5 checking account blueprint and cramp down on my leakage of money, 2 of the drivers said to me, I don't look to be bothered by the people. This is one of the things you got to understand. People have such bad money management that if anything happens outside to wreck their spending, like they were doing this episode of Vice, I think it was Vice, with these teachers were living in California, and someone sideswiped their car at night, and that literally put them behind 4 months because they had to get him another car. Sierra, California is a different level. You got folks driving Lambos and Ferraris everywhere, and you got people taking dumps in the street. Geez, I don't think it's going to get to that point because most people have no heart for a confrontation like that. I mean, this is why we have Trump. This is why we have all this mess. And once again, if you just look at the lack of discipline of the lower class, it tells you everything. Broderick, I noticed when I had cash in the bank, I was less triggered by getting paid bi-weekly or minor mishaps when getting paid. This is why I want everybody to go to B School for Hustlers, if you haven't done it, and get the money management course and start managing your money appropriately, because all this is about management, discipline, and habits. And once you start to adopt the habits of successful people, you in turn will become successful. All right. So that's all I got for you guys. I will see you guys later.